Hey everyone, I'm Grant and welcome back to the channel. So this is day 3 of my push to get my diesel swap TJ Wrangler up and running again. And today is going to be somewhat of a tedious day, but a very necessary day. Today I'm trying to tackle all of the wiring. So I need to wire up the new TCU from US Shift. This is called a Quick 6. This is going to be what completely controls my Ford 6R80 6-speed automatic. But to hook that up, I have to figure out the wiring harness that came with it, but I also have to reinstall the box from Dakota Digital. I believe it's called their Universal Signal Box, and that's what gives me my RPM and helps me figure out my speedometer and a couple of other things. So this is just going to be a lot of nitpicky stuff and using a multimeter to try to figure out what wire goes where and what wire I have to hook up to what. So I'm going to go ahead and just get to work. I've got my signal box off, which I need this to convert my alternator signal to a tax signal, which I have to have for the Quick 6. I'm going to reuse this relay, which is going to supply key switched power to both the Quick 6 and the signal interface from Dakota Digital. However, I am going to cut one wire off of my wiring harness from my CompuShift setup, and it's this wire here for the TPS. I have to have a TPS with the Quick 6. I had ordered a universal TPS when I got the CompuShift TCU, so I am going to reuse it. And unfortunately, that also means I'm going to go ahead and reuse the harness that came with it as well. Hate doing that. But now that we have all these parts, I'm going to move the camera to inside the cab and we're going to start getting the wiring, well, figured out inside. Now I'm going to go ahead and start hooking up my Quick 6 TCU from US Shift. Now there are two wiring harnesses. First is the transmission side. This is super simple to hook up. This plugs into the transmission, and these three connectors plug into the corresponding ports on the TCU. Very easy. The only trick with this is I got to figure out how I'm going to get it to the transmission, and then I need to put some protective coverings on this to protect the wiring harness. This is going to be fairly simple. The one that's going to take a little bit of time is this harness. Now this is what I'm calling the vehicle side. So this is going to have the wiring for the shifter, so I can do the up shift down shift. This is going to have my reverse light, so this is going to be what triggers the reverse lamps and my tail lights when I put my transmission into reverse. And the other thing I have to hook up to this is the throttle position sensor wiring harness that I cut off the other harness. So I need to figure this out. This shouldn't be too terribly difficult. But the other thing I need to figure out is where I'm going to mount it. Now originally I was going to mount this right in front of my shifter, but I realized that's where this plugs into. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes trying to figure out where I'm going to mount this. Now that I kind of know what I'm doing with all of the wiring, it's just a matter of crimping on a bunch of connectors and just getting all this wired up. So yeah, I'm just going to get to it. This is going to take a while. I'm going to be taking a break from doing the wiring inside. I have done it for hours and I'm still not done. It's just very tedious and kind of boring. But I realized it'd be helpful if I could turn the key and supply power to the entire vehicle. Right now I have the battery completely disconnected. I don't have the alternator hooked up or anything. This is a perfect opportunity to go ahead and install the starter onto my automatic transmission. Now, I went with a performance space starter just because it wasn't really all that much more than just a factory starter. So I'm going to get to work on this. All right, I installed the starter. I didn't show it on camera just because it was 3 bolts and then it's on. I figured out the wiring. This is the wire that triggers the starter. This is the one that I've been trying to find. So now that I know this, I can wire up the starter. I'm going to re-hook up all the positive battery cables, all the negative battery cables, and I'm not going to hook up the fuel shutoff solenoid because that way my motor won't start, and I think I'm also going to pull out the relay so my fuel pump doesn't turn on, but I just want to make sure that everything sounds okay and I can spin the motor real quick. If all of that works, I'm then going to go back to figuring out the wiring on the inside of my Wrangler. So wiring really is the most tedious thing you can do on a project car, in my personal opinion. So see you soon. All right, everyone, that's all I have for today. It's really late. I got a lot done. I'm not sure how much of it's going to show on camera, but we got the engine to spin over, which was a huge win. I have the good majority of the wiring inside the cab kind of figured out, but I think we're going to figure that all out tomorrow. Today I am hopefully going to get my diesel swap TJ Wrangler running again. So I'm going to be just kind of blasting through a lot of things that I need to get done. I need to reinstall the power steering pump. I need to put on the serpentine belt. I need to install the exhaust system. I have to reattach the fueling system. And more importantly, I need to install the hoses for the transmission cooling lines to my transmission cooler. And I need to add fluid to the transmission, and I need to put fluid in my MP231. At that point, I feel like I can start the motor. I still don't have the rear drive shaft installed, but at that point, it should be good enough that I can start everything and just see if everything is kind of working as it should. So I'm just going to get to it. Alright everyone, I have a small clearance issue with the exhaust to the transmission bell housing, but it's just a boss where one of the mounting bolts go through, and I probably need to grind away all of 1/8 to 1/4 inch. So I'm going to do that real quick so the exhaust can mount and not hit the transmission. So I'll be back. I normally don't handhold stuff, but I have a good way of showing this. I've gotten the exhaust back on. I did probably 2 to 3 hours of grinding, test fitting, grinding, test fitting. I just kept going back and forth, and I went ahead and did the whole exhaust. So this is all on, and if we go underneath, you can see I have the entire exhaust on. Now I need to put a clamp there, and I need to put a clamp here. Now with the exhaust done, I'm going to focus to plumbing up the cooling lines from my transmission cooler to my 6R80. Where I'm working, you're not going to be able to see because I'm having to route the lines up over the transfer case and along the tub where the drive shaft currently is. So I'm just going to turn off the camera for now, and I'll report back once all of this is plumbed. It's going to be kind of hard to see. I have one line here, one line up there. The line that's going over the top of my frame rail, I don't really have bolted down, and I need to add a fastener to it somewhere. I was able to add a fastener to the other line, so it's firmly in place and out of the way. The other thing I want to say is I have ordered silicone hose, and I will be replacing all of this line. This line is basically strong enough to do what I'm doing, but this is more of a test line just to make sure everything works. I'm not going to do any serious wheeling or driving with it. This is more just so I can see if everything works. So now that this is in place and the exhaust is all in place, I think we're ready for a test fire. So I'm going to move the camera, open the shop door, and we'll see what happens. All right, everyone. I'm going to try to do a quick test run. I'm not going to run it long because I don't have the serpentine belt system hooked. Well, I don't even have a radiator, clearly. But I'm just trying to see if everything seems to be working. So I'm going to have to bleed the system real quick. Hold on a sec. Well, that doesn't work. I don't hear the fuel pump or lift pump turning on. Oh, I've got a major problem. Never mind, this isn't going to work. We'll be right back. Go for it. Fuel pump is running. I love having an electric lift pump to prime the system. It's actually really nice. So now we're going to plug this in like so. Nothing's around the crankshaft. Transmission is in park, and just for extra safety I've also put the transfer case in neutral. If I can get the engine to start, I'm going to quickly shut it off. So, and then check for leaks. So, fire in the hole! Didn't know it was going to be that easy. But it was that easy. It runs. Morning, everyone. It's the next day. We got the diesel engine running again yesterday. Super excited about that. It doesn't look like we have any leaks from the transmission cooler, which is a big win. So the goal of today is to get this all back together to the point where we could possibly take it on a test drive. I don't know if I have enough time today to do it. There's just a laundry list of small things that I have to do. And if this week has taught me anything, those little tiny things take me way longer to accomplish than I would have initially estimated. So I think what I'm first going to do is move the camera back to the interior, because I need to figure out where I'm going to mount the TCU. I need to figure out how I'm going to mount the Dakota Digital box. So yeah, the goal is to maybe test drive this today, but if not today, the goal is to get this done so we can take it on a test drive tomorrow. So I'm going to get to work. Alright everyone, I have been working on this for like 6 hours. My wiring's a mess, but I kind of have everything hooked up. And I've got it hooked to my desktop because I don't have a Windows laptop. But the gears work, my ranges work. I can read everything on the screen. It all looks correct. And I've written the calibration for the diesel tune. The other thing I have working is the TPS. I had to fight that a little bit. So we're getting there. Next steps is to clean up all the wiring in here. I'm going to move back to the engine bay and get that all tidied back up. Basically put the front end back on it. And we might be driving this tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to have time today to finish everything. There's just so many little things that I've been trying to fix. But we're definitely making progress, and I'm very happy with where we're at. So I'm going to get back to work. With the serpentine belt now installed, I'm now going to focus on reinstalling my front grille, which has my radiator and the heat exchanger for my intercooler loop. Yay! Alright everyone, I'm beat. So it's 12:01, it's just after midnight, and I have put every minute of this week into this Jeep. So it's almost back together. I have a couple of things that I need to wrap up tomorrow. I need to re-hook up the tachometer wire. I need to put an electrical connector on the fan. I need to put a hose clamp for one of the hoses going to my water to air intercooler. Oh, and I need to find the radiator cap. So there are minor things that I still need to do, but we are very, very, very close to testing this. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy with my Wrangler being back together, having a front grille on again. I cannot tell you how happy that makes me. But hey, it's YouTube. You know what to do. Take out more than you bring. Tread lightly. And I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.